I will make another point here as to why I think, this just very quickly, Jay-Z, thanks for the $8, dude, really fucking appreciate that. In the real world, you need mains read to convict a person. I'm not sure if I'm reading that correctly, which means malicious mind. Arthas clearly didn't have that, I think. Oh, mains raid. So, yeah, okay, I get exactly what you mean there. If you didn't have malicious intent, then you can't really be convicted of something. So, for example, someone who is completely fucking nuts and didn't know what they were doing would generally not be convicted of a murder, mainly because they weren't. There was no thought process within how that was committed. They didn't think that they were doing it. They were just doing it. So, Jay-Z, I 100% agree with you. If you're not of the mind to be able to discern between what is right and what is wrong, then clearly I don't think you can make the judgment that the guy is good or evil. Now, redemption stories in World of Warcraft. And this really goes into a bigger sort of discussion around, I guess one could say, World of Warcraft in general and the stories of World of Warcraft in general. I was watching a video from Balila. It's one of his clips that he does the live streams now. I don't know if you guys have watched Balila's live streams. Very cool. And then he uploads these clips from the live streams. And one of their discussions was literally about the story of World of Warcraft, right? And how the story of World of Warcraft really doesn't do, or the game really doesn't do the story justice. And this is sort of where the whole redemption thing comes from. This is why I hate redemption stories so much in a game like World of Warcraft. So, World of Warcraft does an amazing job of building a universe, right? They are amazing at building a universe. They suck at telling the individual stories within this universe almost always. There are exceptions, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Blizzard is bad on all fronts. There are stories that were told really well, but just very quickly, stories that come to mind that really should have been told far better is things like the Argus story. I mean, to introduce a brand new fucking Titan and literally kill him in the same patch just feels a little bit lackluster. The whole Sargeras thing, we see Sargeras for the very first time and then he completely disappears again. The Illidan story, where it starts off, I want to say people are a little bit, I think, rose-colored glasses when it comes to Illidan. Because right at the beginning, the Illidan story feels incredibly forced. And then it really gets going because Blizzard sticks with it and they keep telling the right story. And Illidan finally starts to make a hell of a lot of sense. But it started not that fucking great. And then we can look at the N'Zoth story, which was absolutely miserable. Garrosh's story, which was absolutely fucking horrible. Right? Garrosh goes from being a respected general within the Horde to a complete fucking maniac in less than an expansion, right? Less than one expansion, bam, we have literal Hitler sitting in Gromma's Hold, right? So it makes it very difficult to trust Blizzard whenever it comes to micro storytelling, and this is where I despise redemption stories. Perhaps my biggest issue when it comes to World of Warcraft, and perhaps the biggest issue I have with the story of World of Warcraft, is the Sylvanas Loyalist campaign. Now, no one can disagree with me that that is perhaps the best example of a story that should not have ended, that ended so abruptly that every single loyalist is sort of standing dick in hand going, the fuck just happened? Like, you were just getting ready. It was right there. You were going to have sex for the very first time. You're 18 years old. You just met this girl a week ago. She's in your bedroom. She's about to fucking take off her clothes. And then your dad knocks on the door and says, her father is here, she's going home, and you're standing there, blue balls, going, the fuck just happened to me? How did this happen? What the hell is going on? This is exactly what the Sylvanas Loyalist campaign felt like. It was sort of this Deus Ex Machina end to the most unrealistic departure ever. It was just completely unrealistic. I remember standing there and thinking to myself, but I don't feel less loyal to Sylvanas after that. What part of that entire cinematic was supposed to make me feel less loyal to her? I don't know, right? I genuinely don't know. It was simply forced, right? And that's sort of something that, unfortunately, I think MMOs have a problem with. I think when you're trying to tell a story like World of Warcraft, I think it just becomes very, very difficult to tell an individual story with that much nuance. Because the Sylvanas story is nuanced. You have to be able to tell the story from start to finish. There must be a beginning, there must be a middle, and there must be an end, and the end must be believable. So they should have set us up far more to no longer be loyal to Sylvanas. If they really wanted it to go that route, they should have set it up more. Now again, one can argue that, look, Blizzard might not even be done with the Loyalist campaign, right? And the Loyalist thing may still be going at some point. True, but again, it should have been done right from the beginning. Loyalists should have been working with Sylvanas this whole time. Loyalists should still have been loyal to Sylvanas this whole time. That, in my belief, is really the only way you can tell a story like that. The other option is just don't tell that story. Don't even make that option a thing, right? And that really is, to my mind, the thing that Blizzard should stop trying to do. If you're not going to stick with it, if you're not going to finish that storyline, don't introduce it to begin with. And it sort of feels like Blizzard always overestimates the ability that they have to finish a specific story. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm completely wrong. But that is sort of one of the things that I genuinely wanted to discuss with all of you tonight. It's something that I think should be discussed. It's something that I think if we don't discuss it, then, well, really we are wasting a very good opportunity here to actually get this in a timely fashion, to get to this in a timely fashion, and that is content routes. Now, I've been spending quite a bit of time looking at the content route, thinking about the content route, and trying to figure out what exactly is it that's been going on within World of Warcraft. Like, how is it that we are now in this position where 9.1 is still a ways away, right? Based on my own opinion, it's going to be a miracle if Blizzard gets 9.1 to the players within 3 months. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is going to be a miracle. Because there is still a lot of things that's really not finished. Korthia feels quite empty compared to what I think it should be at the end of it. There's still a lot of things that sort of feels a little bit that still feels a little bit clunky. There's still a lot of things there that isn't yet ready. Now, there's reasons obviously for that, and there's reasons that we could dive into. Obviously, the sad part of it is those reasons are really Blizzard's own fault. And this is not a stream where I'm shitting on Blizzard or anything. In fact, I absolutely sympathize with them. I do believe that Blizzard this has been a long time coming. I think this really started in Legion. In Legion, Blizzard put themselves up for failure. It was always going to come crashing down around them. I don't believe that there was ever going to be another way to do it. If it wasn't for COVID, and the sort of lockdowns that happened, it probably would have happened only in the next expansion, but it still would have fucking happened. I genuinely believe that it still would have happened later down the road. Why do I say this? Blizzard came out in Legion with a very tight patch release schedule. Legion launched, and every 77 days after a new patch hit, right? So every 77 days, Blizzard sort of said to us, this is their new plan. This is what they want from expansions now moving forward. They want constant content patches to go out to the players, so there's never really a point where players feel like there's nothing to do. And Blizzard achieved this in Legion. Then BFA came out, and you already started, now in hindsight, you started to notice cracks within BFA. BFA wasn't ready when it launched. It was nowhere near ready when BFA launched. But BFA launched nevertheless. And then, of course, slowly but surely, with BFA, we had the first patch, which really just tried to fix a lot of the issues that existed within the base game. Didn't really add a whole lot of new content. Whatever it did add was sort of very lackluster. I remember playing 8.1 on the PTR and thinking, this is quite boring. It was very quick and it was done. Then 8.2 came out, and 8.2 fixed, in my opinion, BFA for the most part. 8.2 was absolutely glorious. You could see that Blizzard took a lot of time making sure that 8.2 would be brilliant. We got Najata, we got Mechagon, we got brand new dungeon. The world suddenly felt a hell of a lot better. And then 8.3 hit, and once again, you saw a sort of rushed patch. I genuinely do not believe in any way, shape, or form that Blizzard decided to bring N'Zoth, the sort of old god that we've all been waiting for, but only in 2 zones. This big bad guy, this big bad old god that's been waiting for his moment, when all of his brothers ejaculated prematurely and we got to put them down, N'Zoth bided his time. He didn't rush. He waited. And the best he can do is sort of take over not 2 zones, a part of 2 zones. So he couldn't even manage to take over the whole of the fucking zone. No. He could take over just one part of one zone and another part of another zone, and that was it. The raid was probably the best part of that entire expansion, and by raid I mean the artwork within the raid. A lot of the bosses was really lackluster. A lot of the bosses felt a bit rushed, most likely, and a lot of the final boss was either so overtuned that no one could fucking do it, and some of its abilities were so overtuned, and it was so long that people just sort of gave up trying to even fucking do it, right? So N'Zoth was rushed. And then we go into Shadowlands. Blizzard does the right thing in Shadowlands, and they sort of say, look, give us time. We're not ready. We need time to launch the game. We all gave them time, and I do believe that we were rewarded for giving them time with an absolute amazing expansion. I genuinely believe that Shadowlands is and was an amazing expansion. It delivered on everything that I wanted from it. The story was incredible. The leveling experience was incredible if you only did it once. The more intro quest line was miserable the second time around, and it was absolutely fucking torture the third time around. The fact that there is no skip on that, I don't know if there's a skip now. I haven't leveled a new character in some time. But the fact that there's no skip on the intro for the more is absolutely unforgivable. That should have been launched right at the beginning. There should have been a way to say, I've seen this, I'm fucking done, I want to move on, right? I don't want to do this again. This is miserable. Don't let me go through the fucking more again. It takes too long. It's a waste of my time. The leveling experience, again, because they're so focused on the story, really sucks the second time around, but Threads of Fate obviously takes care of that in some ways. And of course, we have news, by the way, of Blizzard actually adding more things to sort of make the game better, to make the game feel better. There's some sort of indication that Torghast might be getting experience. Just by the way, if you look here, it appears from the data mining that experience will be added to Torghast, which I think is an amazing step in the right direction from Blizzard to sort of allow players to do Torghast to level to max rather than, you know, just sort of doing Threads of Fate or doing the story. And literally the best way to level in World of Warcraft Shadowlands at the moment is to do the story up until level 59 and then just switch to Threads of Fate so that you don't have to do any of the other bullshit. Threads of Fate still takes too long to level. So there's a bunch of things that we could say very wrong. Of course, massive content drought comes right after the launch of Shadowlands. And now we finally have our hands on patch 9.1 and it looks very good. The question is, what happens with 9.2? Is that going to take as long as 9.1? I genuinely believe it will. I genuinely believe that 9.1 will launch and it will take just as long to get to 9.2 as it took to get to 9.1. So there's going to be another content drought. Why? Why am I almost willing to bet that there will be another content drought? It's inevitable. Genuinely speaking, it is inevitable. The only reason Blizzard was able to do 77-day patch cycles in Legion was because they took the whole half of Warlords of Draenor to make fucking Legion. People seem to forget that Warlords of Draenor had one of the longest content droughts in the history of World of Warcraft. It was incredible how long Warlords of Draenor had fuck all new to the game, and how long we just sat in Warlords of Draenor sort of twiddling our own thumbs, not even sure what to do, because Blizzard said fuck it. They'll just suffer through Warlords of Draenor as we try and make Legion a better expansion. So I genuinely believe that by the end or by the launch of Legion, Blizzard already had patch 7.1 ready. By the launch of 7.1, 7.2 was ready already. You know how I know this? Because right now, as things stand, right now in sort of the development cycle for Legion, we would get the new patch. 2 weeks later, there would be literally 2 weeks after the new patch, BTR would go live. The massive content drought for Warlords of Draenor allowed Legion to become a thing, right? It allowed for Legion to actually be as good as it was. Legion going into BFA, you already started to see some of the cracks pop up. You started to see some of the issues present themselves. And then in Shadowlands, it's just become glaringly obvious that the time that Blizzard gives themselves from patch to patch is not sufficient. The time that Blizzard gives themselves from expansion to expansion isn't sufficient. And again, I hate to say this, but it is kind of Blizzard's fault. There is so much overdevelopment that goes into World of Warcraft. There is so much unnecessary stuff that happens in World of Warcraft that makes it impossible to design in... I want to say makes it impossible to design in as short a time as humanly possible. My belief and the way that I would want Blizzard to do it is to separate. We just spoke about PvP and PvE being separated, right? Giving people the ability to play. But there's more that can be done in this. Torghast should be separated from player power entirely. I do not understand why Torghast is linked to player power. Torghast is a roguelike experience. It should be technically just a fun experience for people to partake in for cosmetics. It should not be tied to player power. You should not increase your legendary power by doing Torghast. To my mind, remove that. Make Torghast something on its own that can exist for a long period of time. So you build stuff that can exist for the whole expansion and be fun on its own. It doesn't have to tie into anything. It's just a fun thing that you do on its own. You never have to give a fuck about the PvPers. As long as you give them an arena and you give them gear, they'll entertain themselves, which is the nice thing about PvPers. You'll always know this, by the way. You want to know if PvP is going well in an expansion? When you don't hear anything about the PvPers. They don't speak, they don't make a fucking noise, they just sort of exist because they're happy, right? It is sort of building your own content if you're a PvPer, right? Which PvEers, we don't have that. Sadly, we can't build our own content. We are reliant on Blizzard giving us content. So in PvP, I think PvP is actually the best sort of white paper for what Blizzard should be doing. The best PvP expansions that I know of that Blizzard have released has always been when they've given the PvPers a nice setting to play in. So they've set it up in such a way that the PvPers can sort of do whatever they want within that zone, and then they just remove their hands and they just go at it, right? So there's enough for the PvPers to entertain themselves. The gear works so they can PvP, get better gear, keep going ham, right? And then just sort of hands off. I mean, how often does Blizzard release new battlegrounds? How often does Blizzard release new arenas? You very rarely hear PvPers complain about this. Very rarely does PvPers go, oh fuck, they keep forgetting us. We just never get fucking content. Because, well, the content is literally killing the other guy. That is the content, right? So where you kill that guy is less of an important factor than the fact that you're killing the other guy, and that it's at least balanced to some extent so that one person isn't just convoking and then, collecting all the winnings, right? So as long as that exists, PvPers are happy. This is what the rest of the game should be. Design the content so the people can actually entertain themselves within the content rather than the content constantly trying to entertain the player. Players will find ways of making things fun if you give them the ability to do so. If you just allow players to actually come up with fun stuff, believe me, they will come up with fun stuff to do. I genuinely believe that. So yeah, from my mind, that's sort of my biggest gripe at the moment. I am scared. Obviously, I don't have any inside information on this. I just want to make this clear. I have not spoken to anyone at Blizzard about when the new expansion is going live, or the new patch is going live, when we can expect the new patch. I have my speculations on when I think that might be, but I do think the Blizzard is making it unnecessarily hard for themselves. When really, just relax a little, you know? It's fine. It is absolutely fine if you have content that doesn't tie into anything else. It's fine. It doesn't have to always. I don't do Torghast because it drops Soul Ash. Instead, in fact, I don't give a fuck about the Soul Ash that it drops. I have my legendary. I've never made another one. I'm perfectly good with it. So for me, I do Torghast because it is legitimately just a fun experience for me. Yeah, focus more on that and less on the whole tie-in bullshit.